This is the first of a video series where I'm going to pick a piece from the RCM syllabus and describe how I would bring it into the studio and work on it with a student. The first is a poem from the preparatory grade, and it's on page 17 of the big book of poetry. I like to teach this poem to young kids by ear without the book. Maybe I have it on my phone for reference, but I want the focus to be right from the start on language and developing the ear. Now, I might teach this poem over 4 lessons. I say might because a lot depends on the student and also what else I plan to do in the lesson. But here's a possible lesson plan for this poem, and I'll go over each stage in this video. So it's the first lesson. I've just shared the poem with the student, and now we're going to focus on the first 2 stanzas. Play with them a bit. And here are the first 2 stanzas. First, we'll do a listening game of call and response. This is one of my favorite games for poetry for young children. It really works well with them and they really enjoy it. It's basically, when I say X, you say Y. And so in the first one, when I say, what do caterpillars do? You say, nothing much but chew and chew. Then I do the same thing, the same call and response game with just the key words, the rhyming words. What do caterpillars? Nothing much, but the student will catch on really fast. But to help with the memory and to help them get it in their bodies, I give them an action to do. For lines 2, chew and chew, you might chew and chew. Or let them pick the action. Tell them that the only rule is they have to be able to do the action and say the line at the same time. And then repeat it all with stanza 2. What do caterpillars know? Nothing much but how to grow. And then do it with the key words. What do caterpillars? Nothing much, but they'll get it. In that first lesson, I'd also play a language game. You'd ask them, what rhymes with the word do? Get your whiteboard, write all their choices up there, add a few more. In the second lesson, I'm going to review stanzas 1 and 2, see how much they can remember, side coach them if they need it. And then we're going to work on stanzas 3 and 4 in the same way with call and response. This time, putting actions, verb eat, also on the verb phrase be a butterfly. Again, let them choose it if they can come up with something. Then, of course, another round of what rhymes with, this time with the word by. Get your whiteboard. Put their choices up there. They'll have them. Then if there's time, do a call and response game with the whole poem, prompting them as necessary. Now, for really outgoing children, they'll do it. You might have, however, a really shy child, in which case you'd continue prompting them. You might even have some children who say, I want to do it myself, and tell you to sit down and be quiet. If they do that, let them have the floor. Also in the second lesson, I like to give them the vocabulary word of syllable. Now don't get too technical with this. It's easy. Just give them a word like butterfly, butterfly. Say that each of those claps is 1 syllable. They'll get it. Some kids might even already know the word. So now we're in lesson 3, and this is where I bring the book in and I show them the picture. And I ask the student, what do you see? And I let them tell me, get them to talk about it. Can they make up a story about the picture? As they go, ask them questions. What does that character want? Again, don't get too technical. If they insist that their character is happy as a clam, it doesn't want anything, that's fine. We're not trying to get them to understand the word objective. But heck, if their character has an objective, great. Just let it be their story. Don't interfere too much. We are, however, wanting to introduce basic storytelling concepts. So introduce the word character as a vocabulary word. Again, a lot of students will already know that word, and if they do, great. But encourage them to name their characters, and if the student can read, because some 5 or 6-year-olds can read pretty darn well, introduce them to the word stanza. Don't get too technical, just this poem has 4 stanzas. Now, in the 4th lesson, we're going to work on performance skills, or as I like to say, get it share ready, because sometimes performance can create anxiety. Not with every child, but with some, the shy ones in particular. Some kids won't need any encouragement for this. They'll be up there telling you the poem. Shy kids, they might. And in that case, I just stand in front of them face to face, encourage them to say the poem, urging them on, mouthing it. I'm doing the actions myself, saying it with them if that will encourage them. Let them set the pace. Eventually they'll come around and be saying it to themselves. As long as you're always praising them, always encouraging them. Now it's also important that you get them to say the memorized poem in different locations. Great, they do it in the studio. Now take them out in the hall. See if they can do it out there. Now if it's a nice day, take them outside. Can they do it out there? Let them experience different acoustic environments, different sensory input. It'll only improve their memory. For homework, maybe challenge them to say it in 3 different areas of the house. Then, don't stop there while they're marching. Get them to do it while they're lying on the floor with their feet up. Get them to do it standing perfectly still without moving a muscle. And then, get them to do it on an X marked on the floor, just naturally. As you can see, we're not only getting them it more in their bodies and more in their memory, but by putting the X on the floor, we're getting them to stand in one spot. Not easy for a young person. After they have it memorized, turn the focus on, number 1, appropriate volume. A lot of kids will speak really quietly, especially if they're shy. Number 2, with sufficient clarity of articulation. Some kids will mumble or they'll speak too fast and mush everything together. This is where getting them to say it while doing something else, that can slow them down sometimes, which can be good. Now things like volume and clarity are things that we work on during the physical and vocal warm-ups, so hopefully they'll be able to apply what they've learned in those warm-ups to the poem. If not, make the connection for them. As you can see, that's a lot of work packed into 8 lines. Hopefully that'll be fun for your student and they're ready to share it with everyone.